Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, and a very, very warm welcome to our viewers on E360 TV. Good afternoon, good morning and good evening to all of our viewers around the world, and especially to our viewers that view on the replay, and a very warm welcome to our viewers that are here live as we're broadcasting streamed live. So my name is Caroline HEWARD, and I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. Our show today is Talking Heads, and I'm an expert presenter in today's topic, which is the psychology of living in autopilot. It's part of the Mind and Body Connection series. Let's begin. I'd like to start with a quote by Bertrand Piccard. He said, "Very often, human beings are living like on autopilot, reacting automatically with what happens. What interests me about the life of an explorer is you are in the unknown. You are out of your habits." Bertrand Piccard. He is also a spiritual explorer. That's what he's really known for, his spiritual exploration as well as his adventures. So what is living in autopilot? I found the term depersonalization disorder, and I thought that is obviously a new medical term that's being used. My term is much more lucid in terms of what it really feels like when we are experiencing it, and I thought that it was good to find out what the medical term is for it. Depersonalization disorder. So what is it? Have you ever felt that you've literally felt cut off, that you feel everything from the neck upwards, that you feel very little underneath? So there's a disconnection of body. There's like a no sensation, no feelings. There's a disconnection with the body, the sensory experience that perhaps you remember when you were a child. Does that sound recognizable to you? If it is, I'm going to explore this as a subject today. This is much more about an exploration rather than an understanding. And so this is very much a transmission today, because many of us are living in autopilot and actually have no idea that that's how we're living. So let's dig down a little bit deeper. Autopilot. Have you ever felt that you're going through the motions without the emotion? Does that resonate? Going through the motions without the emotion. It means that you're kind of doing things in an autopilot fashion, like in a habit rather than a feeling. Rather than being in a sensory experience, you're living in an experience of doing rather than feeling from a sensory place, of experiencing what you're doing. So you're doing rather than being. So you're in a doing mode and not experiencing your being. I want to look at What causes the fact that you would live in autopilot? Many times in life, things happen. We might have had a change in work, a change in our relationships. There might be a bereavement. It might be a breakup of a friendship. It might be that things didn't quite work out in terms of your expectations within your career, within your working life, and within your exams, within your academia. It might be that you moved home, countries, towns, cities. It might be that you started off life in a challenging situation. It could be, especially in today's world, that there was a change in your country. So you came from a country that was in a war-torn country, like Syria, Afghanistan, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran. It could be that you've come from somewhere like Northern Ireland, that the Troubles, that's what they're known as, they were always in troubles. So there was people living in a high state of survival and alert. And when something like that happens, I actually spoke to somebody very recently this week who wanted to book a session with me, and we looked at the very fact of what was creating his, as he put it, he didn't feel life, and he got to a point that he was experiencing no life and he wanted it to change. He wasn't experiencing what he wanted to experience in terms of his living. And the way that he was describing it, he said, I think from what I've read from you that you can help me. And I said, yes, I can. And so I went through this exploration of him being detached, desensitized, and asked him, what was actually happening for him when he started to feel like that. And he was able to pinpoint that I think it was 10 years previously, he had moved countries, and he had moved from Northern Ireland to London. And I said, well, that would do it. and he was really quite surprised because it was a very quick exploration. And the reason for that is being in Northern Ireland, where he had grown up in the Troubles, and moving to London, he would have relaxed from the perspective of living in survival. He would have relaxed to the point that the body could feel again. And in that feeling, he didn't feel safe because he had spent most of his life in Northern Ireland, where the Troubles had recently begun before he had moved. So what am I getting at here? What happens is when we are feeling unsafe, when we feel that we may get hurt, the body is a pure self-defense mechanism. And what it does is it shuts down the feelings and emotions to protect you. And it's not something you decide, it's not something you think about, it's not something you choose. The body naturally protects you because this is the way that it functions. And it protects you by shutting down the feelings and emotions. And when you shut down the feelings and emotions, the escape route is your mind. And so then you go thinking, analysing, talking through your experiences, rather than experiencing from a sensory experience. So the kinds of things that can cause it are things like a move, a difficult move, a divorce, a relationship breakdown, where you are feeling insecure about feeling unsafe. So you will handle logical, physical, practical things, because in our Western society and Western culture, we've got to do that. There is no way that we can't deal with that stuff in our society. But what happens when we do that and we shut down the feelings and emotions, we don't feel anymore. And sometimes that can happen when we're very young. Sometimes that can happen decades before we realize. And sometimes people work out that they can't survive or stay living in the way that they're living anymore. And this can come out for some people in a midlife crisis, or they're in a relationship that they just feel they can't take it anymore. And whatever it is that's shifted, it's like an awareness, an insight that shifts, that says, I can't do this anymore. And that's when the person reaches out to say, how do I stop this? Because this isn't living. And that's absolutely right. It's not living, it's existing. You are literally existing in your mind, whether you're in a state of anxiety, stress, depression, or in a highly alert state of getting things done, of having tons of lists and tons of crossing out things, of keeping the mind and the body so busy that you don't have time to literally be. We are living here as a human being rather than a human doing. But when you're on autopilot, you will experience a living doing rather than being. So how do you break free from living in autopilot? Because this will be familiar for so many people. This will be understood in terms of you get up, you go to work, you work all the things that you have to do, and then you come home and you get showered and changed, have dinner, go to bed, you get up, you go to work. And I've had a number of conversations in recent weeks with friends, family, and also with people that have called and made inquiries. And it seems to be a common conversation that many people feel that they're just on autopilot. And admittedly, many of the people that I've spoken to are at least in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. They're not in their 20s or in their teenage years. They're actually much older. And so what is this that they're experiencing? It's like you step into a space of awareness. And this is key, because when you step into the state of awareness, it's at that point that you can change things. It's at that point when you step into a state of awareness of the fact that you are not happy in being in this non-functional or non-feeling state of dysfunction. It's almost like being in a prison cell. And the secret I'm going to share with you right now, today, here, in this moment, is that you have the key to unlock your prison cell. Because if you put yourself in the prison cell and you have the key, you can break out of your own prison cell. This is your personal confinement, so you don't feel, so you don't get hurt. How can you break free from living in autopilot? By literally using the key and opening the door. And the rest follows. It's feeling safe to open the gate and feel again. And it's important that you have that awareness that you do have the key, you have the control, and you have the responsibility. No one can break you out of your prison cell. Only you can do that. People can help you. They can give you insights, understanding, and awareness. And that's what this transmission is about today. This is about stepping into a state of awareness. Do you feel that disconnection? Because if you do, that's the first step to moving out and breaking free from living in autopilot. If you are living in that prison cell, you absolutely have the key to break free. So breaking free from living in autopilot. Let's give you some examples and some ways that you can change and feel again. When you're living in autopilot, there's less sensory experience and more what you think, talk, and analyze about, and what you converse about. So rather than being in an experience, you will be thinking through an experience rather than feeling from a sensory capacity. And so the first step is to move into a sensory experience. Now, there are 5 senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? And what do you feel? And the feel isn't, I feel sadness, loneliness, heartache. Those are feelings of mind. The feel is, how does the sun fall on my face? How does the wind feel in my hair? How does the water feel in the shower on my back? How does the flower smell? How does that taste? How does my food taste? Does it need more salt? Does it need more pepper? Does it need a little bit of chili? Or does it taste yummy? Sensory feel. When you look at a child, they are moving and living through their sensories. They never say, I will think about that. They will generally look at something, they will taste something and say, oh, don't like that. Or they'll say, oh, that's too salty, or that's too sweet, or I don't like that, or that's hot, that's cold. They're very sensory. They don't think. They don't work out their answers. They are immediately responding. And when you are in autopilot, this will give the mind an opportunity to think before it speaks, because the autopilot wants to be right, wants to make sure that you are answering in a way that's correct so you don't get hurt. It's a defense mechanism. When you're sensory, you will respond immediately. And you will save a hell of a lot of energy when you're in a sensory experience, because you feel in the moment that you're experiencing, rather than thinking about what you should say. You'll be responding immediately. Journaling is a really, really good way of coming out of autopilot, because when you journal, when you actually write down what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and writing, just journaling is literally where at the end of your day, when you just write, you literally write whatever comes through your pen at the point of writing, rather than thinking about it. And I remember doing a lot of journaling when I was going through my marriage, which was very unhappy. And I actually found that journal while I was in my training. I found it in my unpacking, and I started to look through it. And I was writing the same thing almost every day, and I was clearly very unhappy. But one of the things that I didn't appreciate is that in writing it down, it literally let it go. It's a way of processing when you journal. So when you write stuff down, it comes out of your head, out of your being, onto paper, so that you can let go when you are journaling. Root cause therapy. This is what I focus on and what my speciality is. Root cause therapy is looking at your specific blueprint. It's what makes up how you respond, your behaviors. We are our behaviors when we are experiencing life. But when we are in a place of recognition and awareness, this is when we can shake out of the behavior and start being and living in a sensory and exploring adventurous experience. This is what the young child does. They are in a sensory experience. They are present. They are in the very moment of the very second, of the very millisecond that they are in, and they are responding from that millisecond of that time that you ask them something. If they smell chocolate, they want it. If they want to go out and jump in the puddles because it looks fun, they don't think about they're going to get wet. They don't think that they'll have to go and get their wellies on. They don't think about putting their rainmac on. They just want to go out there and feel and splosh in the puddles. But as an adult, we think about all those things. You know, we need to put outer gear on so that we don't get wet, so we don't muddy our clothes, so we don't do things that, you know, will cause an extra job. And so if you're unsure of what living in a sensory experience is, look at children. Look at the way they play. Look at what they say. There is no sensory interjection in terms of what they should and shouldn't do. They want it, and they will find 1,000 ways to ask you for something they want. And so looking at your blueprint, looking at the root cause, what moved you to shut down your feelings and emotions is specific, it's direct, and it's to the point. And this is what I do, looking at your specific blueprint of what caused your personal shutdown. And when I find that, and when you become aware of your personal shutdown, this is when you step into a place of insight, awareness, understanding, and more importantly, you start to shake free from the chains that trapped you into living in autopilot. Because when you become aware of what shut down your feelings and emotions, this is when you begin to feel again. This is when the emotions will become freer. And this is where you begin to live again. It's no good saying, oh, I'm going to exercise because then I'll feel better. I'm going to do some meditation. I did speak to somebody this week, and they were talking about the fact that they'd done lots of different courses, lots of different training, and had done lots of different types of meditation. And yet he was still living in a space of autopilot. And that is because he hadn't looked at why. What caused the shutdown is the first step to breaking free from living in autopilot. And when you step into that state of awareness, and it might be something that you will know but kind of forgot about. It might be something you know and didn't think about, or it'd be something that you just pushed down because it was so old and you're not there in that space anymore. But the fact that the feelings and emotions were not released, and there is no right or wrong way about releasing those emotions and feelings. There is only your way. And when you become in a state of insight and awareness, something changes and you move from being in autopilot to being your true, authentic beingness. We are here as a human being to experience in a sensory way. We are here to be rather than to do. We are here to experience life in a way that's right for us to experience, from a sensory way. If you've forgotten, look at the children. See how they respond to things. And this is how the true, authentic way to be and to live is. Meditation, there are many forms of meditation. One of the easiest ones is to step into your state of sensory experiences. What do you see, hear, smell, taste, feel? And when you step into the experiences of the sensories, there is no room for the mind to get in. And you become calmer, freer, and you become more peaceful. Here's one of my very favorite monks, Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese a Zen monk, and he has recently passed over. And I felt that this sums up exactly what I'm talking about. We need to wake up from autopilot mode. We have to live deeply and with more awareness so that we can be attentive to each moment. Enlightenment, peace, and joy will not be granted by someone else. The well is within us. Thich Nhat Hanh. He spoke a lot about the very fact that we can be in a sensory place and not in our mind. And he was one of the amazing monks that brought mindfulness to the West. Thank you for your attention and your interest. Please subscribe to USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of our Talking episodes under the playlist Talking Heads for this year, 2023, and for last year, 2022. You'll find all my personal Talking Heads under my name, Caroline HEWARD. Please do reach out to me if I may be of service to you. You can contact me on email, nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call me on +44 if you're international, 0 if you're local, 7523 120 189. I look forward to helping you bust your stress. I offer an initial free 30-minute consultation. It will be my absolute pleasure to help you begin your journey to busting through living in autopilot. Namaste.
Howdy, all y'all. This is Red O'Loughlin on the USA Global TV and Radio Network and on the E360 TV network. We're finishing up an 8-part series on pain management. We're concentrating today primarily on pain prevention, something that most people never think about. But let me get my slide set up here quickly so we can get started. There we go. As a disclaimer, I'm not a medical person, never been in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. I fell in love with chemistry about 15 years of age. I think I was a 14, 15 sophomore in high school and took a chemistry course. I just absolutely loved it. Got a degree in it and then got an invitation to Vietnam, so I never got a chance to practice it. About 10 years ago, my wife came down with breast cancer. And as a caregiver, I started looking into the side effects of the drugs she was taking. What can I do as a caregiver to help? And I found just a new world that if you start looking at the human body, there's lots of things going on. And if you understand that this causes that, and that causes that, and that causes that. But if I stop that from happening, this doesn't happen down there. There's a lot of things we have. And when we're talking here about pain, pain like weight, like a number of different things, is all individual. The same person, the same pain stimulus is going to affect two people differently. So the responses are going to vary, but all in all, pain is a complex physiological and psychological experience that serves as a protective mechanism and alerts the body of any potential harm or damage. If we didn't have that instant feedback to say, stop doing what you're doing, we could end up in some serious problems. So, but the definition of pain has been one that's been very difficult to identify. And over time, they've decided they really need to bring in both the physiological and the psychological because both have an effect. So let's talk about pain prevention. What is it? I'm talking primarily in the non-drug treatment things. I want pain where it's not going to restrict me from doing whatever I want to do physically. I want something that works well for everyone, and literally something that can start today. Part of our overall project here at the USA Global TV and Radio Network and E360 TV network is that we want to provide awareness. That's the first basic understanding level of whatever topic we happen to have. And from that awareness level, provide education that people can research on their own, but really be able to go out and talk to their doctor, to their medical professional with a better understanding of what might be the cause, what could be an answer or solution, and what options you really have. So if you understand it from that perspective, sometimes you go there, oh, doctor, this hurts. Well, if you don't know all the other details coming in, we don't know how to treat you. Okay. If I look at pain prevention, I say, what do you do to prevent a car wreck? So if I'm having a conversation, say with Dr. Jacalyn, and we are sitting there back and forth, and she says, well, I could have regular checkups to make my car safe. Well, regular maintenance. Let's just keep everything going. One of the big ones is awareness of your surroundings. If it's raining like crazy outside and stuff blowing across the freeway and other cars out of control, awareness, situational awareness is a major, major process. Being careful, if you're doing 80 miles an hour. I just happened to find an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on Interstate 10 in Texas last weekend. Kind of surprised me. 75 is the standard, but and 85 in one part of Texas is a posted limit, but 80 kind of surprised me. But if I'm doing 80, I don't want to be the same distance behind the car in front of me as if I'm doing 35. And also, if I'm going to prevent a car wreck, I want to plan effectively. And so those are things, if I take that same rationale that I want to prevent a car wreck from happening, and I say, how can I prevent pain? Well, let's look at that. So if I maintain a healthy diet, in other words, balanced nutrition, caloric restriction, the things that I need to get the 32 minimum daily requirements from a nutrient perspective, that's what I need on a regular basis. I'm not going to have situations develop, disease develop, because I'm low in, say, vitamin B12, which can mimic Alzheimer's down the road, or I'm low in electrolytes, which can cause heart issues, or I'm low in some other mineral or vitamin or enzyme or whatever it may happen to be. So maintaining a healthy diet is absolutely, if I'm going to prevent pain from happening, why take a chance on creating an environment in my body that I would promote pain? I don't want to do that. So a healthy diet, I think, is absolutely number one. And if you're going to have a healthy diet, it has to be balanced from a nutritional perspective. Regular exercise. Again, a lot of us have changed our exercise profiles over the years. What we used to do as a teenage years, our 20s, our 30s, et cetera, by the time you get your 50s, 60s, it's not near the same. And we start seeing issues. But it's just not exercise. It can be something as simple as walking, if we haven't done exercise in a while. Strength training is extremely important. Cardiovascular training is a must. But we need balance. We need stretching. We need flexibility. We need our endorphins being released, because that, again, is kind of plays down that level of pain perception when you have the endorphins there. The sleep part of our lives is something that we've really never paid much attention to. Some of us sleep so well, others just seem to be never in good sleep. And there's lots of reasons why. Let's say you have a couple, 3 glasses of wine just before you go to bed. Wine is an alcohol. It's treated by the body as a poison, as a toxin. And unless the body gets rid of it, it's not going to go to sleep. So you go to sleep, you may have a little bit of that just good, happy feeling from drinking a lot. And at 2:07 in the morning, you wake up bright-eyed. Well, your body has finished processing all the alcohol. Now it's ready to get back to the digestive process. And so you're disrupting your sleep. If you have a major meal an hour before you go to bed, again, you're causing the sleep process to be uprooted a little bit. But we need to sleep in order to make repairs to our muscles, to the molecules in our body, that's when the body repairs itself. That's that rest and relaxation is actually coming to fruition, and everything that went on that day, now I have a chance to repair everything. So sleep is super critical. Eating late, alcohol, a lot of stress, a lot of if you're looking at your tablet, your iPad, your computer, your cell phone, that hour before you're going to bed, you're again creating a lot of blue light intensity that may create some problems. Hydration. Being adequately hydrated prevents muscle cramps, headaches, and more. Hydration is a thing that we have control over. I'm sitting here at the computer deal, and I got my water. Sometimes it's tea, but hydration is something we need to do on a regular basis. If you're not going to the bathroom a half a dozen times a day, maybe there's something wrong with your hydration protocol. Ergonomic environment, your workspace. You want a workspace that I'm not reaching over to grab something over here. I'm not looking back up over there to read something. So if I want to be able to have an ergonomic environment, something that is planned where I really reduce the risk of injury, maybe to my wrist, my back, my neck, whatever it may happen to be. I look at where things are at. Are they easy to get to? Is my posture okay? A lot of things that I'm looking at in my work environment. Posture. Are we conscious about our posture? If not, and we're bent over and we keep that for years, decades, we're going to end up with nerve damage, disc herniation, spinal arthritis, skeletal pain, a lot of issues because of repeated abuse of not being able to keep a good, nice, straight posture. So if you're sitting there and you're bent over, you're typing, take that extra moment, sit up, kind of stretch back a little bit, and be aware that, okay, I need to keep my head up a little bit more. Anyway, it's a consciousness. Those are the things that we need to do there. Stress management. One of those things that we should be doing almost hourly, at least several times a day, but most of us don't. It can be something as little as smiling, laughing, but take that deep breath, hold it. Doesn't have to be very long, 20 seconds, a minute, maybe longer. But that calms down the body, calms down our blood pressure, reduces a lot of things. Meditation, yoga. There's a lot of things that are related to stress, pain, tension, headaches, neck aches. So if you're maintaining your stress, managing it properly, you're reducing the likelihood that you're going to have a stress-related pain issue. So you're preventing pain from being a headache, from being a neck ache, from being a shoulder ache, lower back problem, lots of issues there. Speaking of lower back problems, believe it or not, smoking has a tendency to create lower back issues. I don't know why. It's just one of those things I found in the research, and more than one place. It wasn't just a single one. But smoking also can create abdominal pain, joint pain. But more importantly, smoking increases your pain sensitivity. So that if you take the exact same injury, two people, one's a smoker, one isn't, all else being equal, the person who is a smoker is going to perceive more pain associated with that injury, trauma event than somebody who's not a smoker. We've been talking about weight, fat, pain, lots of different things, but weight seems to be the major program today that we've been talking about. But weight management. If you have that extra 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds that you're carrying around, it's going to create a problem. You're going to have stress on your bones, on your joints. Arthritis is a very good likelihood. You're going to have lower back issues, herniated discs, pinched nerves. Just weight creates lots and lots and lots of problems. And I've known some very healthy people that are 50 pounds overweight. They can do almost anything. But again, it's that extra weight carried for decades, and that becomes a problem. So if I'm looking at trying to prevent something that's going to happen 20 years down the road, then weight management becomes something within my purview that, okay, I can tolerate maybe 20 pounds overweight. Don't want it, but I can tolerate it. But I can't tolerate 50 pounds overweight. That's something that my body will not adapt to over time. Regular checkups. If I have a regular health physical, I'm screened for various diseases, my blood tests, all the other x-rays and everything people do. I know where I'm at this point in time. If something changes, I can go back and say, at that point in time, everything was fine. So it happened between here and here. I've told many people over the course of these shows that I do that I have not missed an annual physical since 1968. That was when I did I've had them prior to that, but not every single year. But at that point in time, I was getting ready to go in the military. So I had an aviation physical, 31 years of flying, 31 years in the aviation field. I had to have a physical every year, 16 years of flying. But I had one as soon as I got out of the military in 1999. I continued with my regular physicals with my doctor. I always ask for extra screening way above and beyond what is normally required. I ask for C-reactive protein, homocysteine, and other tests so that I know where I'm at. And sometimes the insurance covers it, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's what it is. I want to know where I'm at with regard to my health. Regular checkups is going to give you that. I mentioned at the end of the last show, being able to get a scale that has the little electrical pads at the bottom. You stand on barefoot, and it's going to read 10, 15 or more different aspects of your body's profile. It may be visceral fat, it may be skeletal mass, bone mass, lots of different things. So a $20, $30, $40 investment, it goes to your phone, it's recorded. Now you have something you've taken every week, every month, every 2 weeks, whatever. You end up going to the doctor and say, well, here's how my visceral fat has been reduced over the last 16 months. Lots of things are available. We just don't know about it. Injury prevention. If we look at using the right kind of safety equipment, we follow the safety guidelines. We have somebody there to back up. I used to be able to climb up on a small ladder or a step stool and just go do things myself. Nowadays, my wife is behind me, and if she's doing something like that, I'm behind her. It's not that either one of us is going to fall off, but you never know when all of a sudden you turn your head, you get a little dizzy, things happen, you can't figure out what's going on, you can't grab a hold of something. Having that backup person there is critical. Understanding what you're doing and what you're doing it. I mean, I can't tell you how many bags of fertilizer and mulch and things like that I've taken out of the trunk of my car. Boom, boom, just year after year. And I remember one time I had taken out 4 or 5 out, and I just go over there just as lackadaisical as can be. I reach in and I grab and yank one out, and I really yanked something in the lower part of my back that irritated me for months. So it's paying attention. If you're lifting something, pay attention to what you're doing. Hygiene, infection control. Obviously, if you let something become septic, you're going to end up with a lot of problems. So if you're washing your hands regularly, you're taking advantage of the proper kind of infection control, you're reducing a possibility of something happening in the future. Okay, stretching, flexibility, and I'm saying concentration in that area. As we get older, we're finding that being able to stand on one foot, and it becomes more difficult. Try it. You stand next to something so you don't fall over, and just stand on one foot. How well can you do it for 1 minute, 2 minutes? This didn't become fully aware to me until I had knee surgery several years ago. All of a sudden, I'm trying to stand on the leg that I had the knee surgery on, and I'm serious. I could not stand on that leg for more than a half a second. I eventually got it back up to over a minute, but it took a lot of concentration, a lot of muscle focus to get that my 2 legs back to being somewhere near equal, where if I stood on my left leg by itself and my right leg, I'm still looking at a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes on each without a problem. But if I'm stretching properly, I have my flexibility, I'm minimizing any joint mobility issues that I might have in the future. I'm minimizing any kind of muscle tension issues because I'm taking that stretching, that flexibility exercise and applying it now so that down the road I don't have that problem. Sometimes we go out for a walk. Okay, I want to start walking. I go out and the first mile is not a problem. And I do it every day. I increase it to 1.5 miles, 2 miles, not a problem. Everything's fine. And then all of a sudden I start having an ankle problem, a shin problem. And this, whether you're running or walking, there's a lot of things that can happen to your legs, your hips, your ankles, and most of them are preventable. But you got to start at the first end, just like I talked about injury prevention up there with the right safety equipment. If you're doing some exercise, such as running or walking, make sure you have the right kind of footwear, something that's comfortable, something that supports you the way it should be. A lot of times with the plantar fasciitis, you wake up one morning, you get out of bed, and all of a sudden you get all sorts of pain in your foot. Those things are all controllable, but you have to know in advance what to look for and what you can do to change it. Medication management, that may not sound like much, but if you're on a prescription drug, let's say for diabetes, or maybe another one for high blood pressure, or maybe another one for something else, there may be some issues with that you need to be aware of. If one of them, say, is vomiting and diarrhea, and all of a sudden you have an increased rate of vomiting and diarrhea, and you look at your prescription meds, okay, that's probably that one. But if it's lasting for a long period of time and there's nothing in any of the medicines that you're taking, maybe it's time to talk to somebody. So just because you're taking medicine doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get all of the side effects they say. Sometimes you'll get some, sometimes you won't. But look at the prescription drugs you're taking. Know the side effects from them. Know what the contraindications are. In other words, if I'm taking this diuretic and I'm taking this antidepressant, I can't take the two of those together because they're contraindicated. That's not what the medical industry wants you to do. If you can't get in touch with your doctor, go to your local pharmacist. They have amazing amount of information that they're willing to share. Heat and cold therapy when injured, get it on right away. Physical therapy down the road to manage and prevent pain. There's a lot of physical therapy that if you're just doing it right, you're going to prevent pain in the future. I love massages. They get that muscle strain, that tension out of the way very, very rapidly. It's a lot of things can be done, and maybe all you need is that one massage a month. Maybe for others, if you're ending up with a lot of headaches, a lot of neck tension, it may be because of some of the things in your job. My daughter wears about a 40-pound vest because she's a deputy sheriff. She has her gun and all the rest of that stuff that she carries. She ends up with a lot of neck pain. Well, she gets in for a massage, boom, it's gone for 2 weeks. A lot of things are dependent on what we do with our normal life. Sometimes some aspects of our pain perception is brought on by our ability to think, to cope. Well, there's a particular branch of psychology called cognitive behavioral therapy. And there's a lot of different parts of that. And it can be adapted for managing pain, the pain perception, not necessarily the pain itself. If I have a swollen joint in my hand, my wrist, my fingers, it's not going to change that. There are other things that we need to do that. But the way my brain perceives that pain can be changed. And that's a very good aspect of that CBT, of being able to go in there and, well, what can I do to change my perception of pain? And these are things you can even do in advance before you even have that pain there. So a lot of good things to be said for that. Sometimes social support. And by this, I mean, something happens in our lives. A person dies, a person's injured, a person's going through a divorce. Lots and lots and lots of things. Your boss pisses you off. It doesn't matter what it is, but we need some level of social coping, something that we can talk to somebody on the phone, go over, have a cup of coffee with, a beer, whatever it may happen to be. But we have somebody we can share our emotional pain. It's kind of like your stress reduction. These are things that allows us to get in there and do that trade-off of, let me just kind of bare my soul to you. But that allows that. We talked about the pain perception in our brain. When I can share some of my pain with somebody, what was that expression that President Clinton, I can feel your pain. Basically, there's a lot to be said in the coping part of our grieving processes, any kind of emotional pain that we have, that if we have the ability to share it with someone else, that is really and truly super important. As with cognitive behavioral therapy and with social support, any kind of mind-body practice, something that promotes our mental and emotional health, because the perception of pain we have when we know what's going on can be addressed. I mean, you have the exact same pain, but all of a sudden when it's being processed in the brain, it goes through that little gate in the back of our neck, gets into our brain, the perception of what that pain really is can be changed. And that's what the beauty of a lot of these awareness programs that we have is if I can change the perception and it's just a matter of doing something, wouldn't that be nice that I no longer have that really sharp pain? Maybe it's dull, maybe it's intermittent, maybe it goes away, but that's what I want to do with my pain. So there are some natural pain reliefs that you ought to have in your house: curcumin, turmeric, boswellia, cloves, fish oil, resveratrol. If you don't have them, at least get a couple of them. You never know when you're going to need them. I like whole fruit mangosteen juice, ginger, cayenne pepper, bromelain, green tea. All of those things are very, very good at addressing pain at its onset and for treating pain after it's already there. We've talked about these in earlier episodes here about each one of the way pain is created and what you can do to address the actual physical process of the one chemical to the next, to the next, to the next. So if I can shut it down at the arachidonic acid level before it gets to cyclooxygenase 2, I've done a major portion in my pain control, pain prevention. Our bodies make palmitoyl ethanolamide, PEA, if you're looking it up under the network, PEA, pain control by a pill. Our bodies make it. We just don't make as much of it as we used to. A lot of essential oils are very, very, very good for pain treatment. So everyone doesn't have everyone is not the same with pain, but awareness, education, and being able to take the right action is going to make a difference. So wrapping things up here, the USA Global TV and Radio Network is on YouTube. The archives, go there, go to the playlist, go to Talking Heads, Red O'Loughlin, and you'll be able to find all the topics that we talked on the last year and a half, 2 years, from heart health, nutrition, stress, toxins, fat management, weight management, lots and lots and lots of things on longevity, lifestyle. Those things are there and available. So please make use of it. And you can reach me at red or redolaughlin.com, my website, red, R-E-D, O'Loughlin, OLAUGHLIN.com. And in my banner, I have my phone number, my email address, all that stuff is found there. But with regard to my books, No Matter What You Can Do, it talks about the subconscious mind, what you can do, not do to be in control of your life. The Joy of Ageless Health talks about the 5 or 6 primary causes of disease at the cellular level. What can you do to accelerate or decelerate the disease process? Longevity Secrets of Healthy Aging talks about the 2 primary causes of aging, what you can do also to accelerate or decelerate the aging process. Understanding the Cause of Alzheimer's and the Essential New Author's Guide are also available on Amazon. Catch you all next week. Thank you very much. Bye now.
This program has been brought to you in part by Zane Carson Carruth, etiquette and protocol expert, international award-winning author, television show host, and philanthropist. Thank you to Zane, our official diamond sponsor for USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. Zane is the author of The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever, as well as many other children's books. She's also the television host of Elegance, Polished Demeanor, and Posh Living, seen on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Bella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Bella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Bella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
To learn more about Zane, contact her through her website, zanecarruth.com, ZANECARRUTH.com. Order Zane's books and merchandise. Contact her about being a keynote speaker at your next event. This program is also brought to you in part by Ella Holly, artist and singer of the single Things That We Do.
If I look into your heart, are you looking back at me? Am I everything you want, baby? If my heart was in your hands, would it be for you and me? Would you wanna keep it close, baby? Right on time, find the right guy, the one I dream to be. Give it all that you can, stumble and fall. Love will set me free. Baby, 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 don't you know you drive me crazy? I love the things that we do. Baby, 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 if you say that I'm your lady, 'cause I can't stop thinking of you. If you told me to my face, you would lie right through your teeth. Would anybody know this is meant for me? I'm not the one to cry or throw my heart away. Can you show me all your loving? 'Cause I'm tired of these games. Right on time, find the right guy, the one I'm